I mean, I know. It looks spooky. It's one of my favorite games. It's a bit spooky. Is there blood? Yes. Man, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn just knocks this out of the fucking park. How much blood and how detailed is the gore? Okay, from like a content warning perspective, the gore is almost unrecognizable. So there's not a lot of like, there's not like dead bodies and gore and gruesomeness like that. There is like a bathtub full of blood though. There's like quite a bit of that. It is bad. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn did a song for, I think the ending of Silent Hill 1. And then Silent Hill 2, 3, and 4. She's pretty prolific. If I'm not mistaken, which I very well could be. Ugh, and then I'll be mad. Look where the kids are crying. Okay, understood. Yeah, most of the things you see that are gory are not particularly human or recognizable. So, last we left off, we had just defeated the split worm. And there's two things that I want to talk about. Because I didn't get to talk about the symbolism of that fucking thing. It was like a couple weeks ago. So the thing about the split worm is that when we descend to the bottom of the mall, there's a series of tunnels.
Cock.
So I've got a different interpretation. So there's a big worm that comes out of these tunnels, splits open vertically, and has a big old mouthy come out of it, right? And one of the ways that you could go with this is certainly something phallic, because of the way it's traveling into and out of these tunnels, like a foreskin. There's somebody on the wiki that would certainly argue that, yes. However, I think the much more prevalent imagery here is that what we're looking at is a sort of vaginal opening and something coming out of it. It to me is a representation of birth. The thing that's coming out of it, though, is screaming and full of teeth and horrible. So, like, this is a very unwanted birth, you know? The worm itself might be similar to an umbilical cord, although we don't really get to see that much of it in terms of its body. Mostly just its face. The phone doesn't work. Well, we all have our hopes. Wish I could get a hold of Dad. Aww. It's not quite as on the nose as D2, yeah. God, that boss fight in D2 is wild. Oh, here's another thing I wanted to point out. So I said before that, Silent Hill 3 is taking advantage of a couple of the locations from Silent Hill 1 that we never really got to explore that much of. Silent Hill 1 has you go into a mall for a short period of time towards the end of the game, just after the hospital, and before you go through the sewers to get to the amusement park. But it's a very, very short section of that game. Same with the amusement park itself. It's mostly just wandering around in darkness with some amusement park rides in the distance. This game takes advantage of those types of areas, the mall and the amusement park, a lot more. But here's the thing that I think some people don't quite put together, is that Silent Hill 3 follows a very similar narrative construction to Silent Hill 1. Both of them start out in a dream sequence where the main character dies and then wakes up in a diner. You then meet a crazy lady who is a member of a cult who says some mysterious shit to you. But I love that they've translated it to Heather's perspective rather than Alessa's. Alessa was only 7 years old, so the first location, the first like major location you go to is a school, whereas Heather, being a teenager, is spending more of her time in the mall. I think that's kind of neat. There's just something cool about it.
Heather,
It's you.
what just happened?
You must be one of them.
What did I do? And what do you mean by one of them?
You're in on this with that Claudia, aren't you?
Claudia? What about her? She asked me to find you, that's all.
So you are one of them.
Claudia did all that? Look, I was just hired to find you. I'm not
Glenn
on
finds
anybody's
things in
side.
Silent Hill kinda neat.
I
This
know
news
anything
is frankly
about this.
earth-shaking and shocking.
Why don't you start by telling me what happened here? And that monster. What the hell was that?
I don't know any more than you do. All I know is that things are getting really screwy around here, and I got a weird feeling it's got something to do with me. Maybe you're just an innocent bystander, but I can't feel sorry for you because you dragged me into this. You know, if you hadn't found me...
What are you talking about? What's so special about you anyway?
If I knew that, I wouldn't be so confused, would I? But I know there's something. and forgot for a long time. How did I remember that?
What's wrong?
Nothing.
Where are you going?
I'm taking the subway home.
What should I do?
How if I know?
I love her so much. Also, Steph, same. Every time he shows up, I'm like, Dogorus, Dogorus. Oh, it's so good. Fruity Rogue. I played one of those in D&D before. Oh, Rouge. Sorry. Game is a bit low. I can turn it up. I can make it turn up a little bit. I can take care of that problem. There we go. It's almost time, yes. My goodness. So, that implies when Douglas says Claudia did all that, and what was that monster? That definitely implies that Douglas was living through the same nightmare that we were, in some way, right? We didn't wind up meeting up there, but that's certainly something that they both lived through, which is kind of interesting to me. Please tell me we're going to see the Silent Hill song. Unfortunately, no, the UFO ending in this game takes a while. You really got to try for it, so. Silent Hill no uta, minna de utau, minna de utaimashou. I like Eco Actions is in Comic Sans. That's fun. Think about Earth Day. Transmask Douglas confirmed. So Douglas is filling in the role of Sybil in Silent Hill 1. Both of them are a, detective that we meet early on in the game. Who is going to, help us out throughout our journey. Obviously, Claudia takes the place of Dahlia, and a character we will meet later, Vincent, is going to take the place of Kaufman in, kind of like how, not quite as directly, but kind of how Metal Gear Solid 2 was recreating elements of Metal Gear Solid 1. This game is kind of using the same sort of narrative structure as Silent Hill 1. You look very fuzzy. Oh, thank you. You know who else is fuzzy? Minmo! Growing strong and healthy, Minmo! Oh, I love cat foods, Minmo. Oh. It comes in fish. We love Minmo. Oh, look at, see him face. Aww. I would totally buy some cat food, Minmo. I want to grow strong and healthy. Yeah. I want to hug Minmo. Me too. Hazel Street. Even without looking at this, I still know my way home. Just need to get on the Bergen Street train at platform 3. Correct me if I'm wrong. Bergen is a reference to the last name of the main character in Jacob's Ladder? Is that right? The fact that Minmo has never returned proves the devs do not understand their audience. You know what? Kind of true. Good quality, good taste. Price down. Last name is Singer. Okay. What was I thinking of? There we go, Bergen Street. Truck sounds like it's low on gas. The sound design in this game is impeccable. What is that save spot on? Decent question. It's for eco actions, but also donuts and coffee. I mean, yeah, we have chickens, so dinosaurs are still around. Kinda. What are you playing this on? I am playing on the PC version of this game. Dino nuggets do not count, says who? Goggo. And we go down again. This is quite a strange subway. Like, I used to ride the subway quite a bit. Over in, back in Chicago, we had the L, which is an elevated train line. But there's also a whole bunch of CTA lines that go underground. They really took the L on this one, though. And it looked pretty similar to this, and smells like urine. You know, as you do. Path is blocked with trash. I can't go through here. Is someone sleeping here? All this red stuff around here is blood. This guy's not sleeping. Why am I not the least bit surprised? I think that nightmare's numbed my senses a little. You got all kinds of stories of the kind of people you meet in the subway. I try not to meet people in the subway. I don't do a lot of that. However, the way this is set up, where it keeps going down and down and down some more, all these staircases, this ain't normal. This doesn't seem normal. The chains holding the doors together are secured with a bolt and nut. The nut is screwed on tight. I can't turn it with my hands. Alright.
But Bun, I thought you liked going down?
I do. So now we can use this nutcracker. Like, this puzzle seems pretty easy, but it really puts my nuts in a vice. I already made that joke, didn't I? Damn it. I can't do it twice. There are 2 puzzles in this game where you're breaking nuts. No! Heckin'... No. Okay, one more. In Chicago, these lines are usually the CTA. I wasn't expecting them to be the CBT. Boom! Okay, alright. Difty's eye really hurts. Oh. Maybe go wash it off. Oh. Blim. Sigh. Ooh. Oh, a shotgun. You know, as a present. It's a gift wrapped box. Could it be a birthday present? No, I guess not. Nobody I know would give me something this gross. But I'll take it anyway. Should come in handy against the monsters. This might be a Terminator reference. Guess someone left it here by mistake, but who would do that? So... this game has a pretty constant theme of birthdays. Birthdays are a thing that are going to be present in this game. Quite a bit. Ah, of course.
Paula Bunny as open to partnership as they are in software standards. Anui.
Gnui. Seth, oh my goodness. So, this is called an insane cancer. New monster type. Is a bigger boy. The impression that I get from these, 2 things going on here. The name and the appearance. The appearance of these things is somewhat gravid. They have an enlarged belly and seem to be laying in like a birthing position. In addition, the idea of an insane cancer is a growth inside the body, you know, a cancer, a tumor. All of these things are reminiscent of pregnancy, specifically unwanted pregnancies. I do like how its face is just a crater. Ow. This is not a tumor. Oh my goodness. Sarah, thank you for 32 months. Oh my goodness.
I was told by a respectable Austrian man that it was in fact not a tumor.
You know what's funny about that is that the line, "It's not a tumor," comes from the film Kindergarten Cop, which, as we all know, was a great inspiration for Silent Hill 1. It's all connected. It all fits, you know? It's just a fire door. It doesn't lead anywhere. St. Renata College.
It's like a well-timed into an orgy, in that it's all coming together.
Yeah, but the catering's not as good. I think this right here. Yes. I love this camera angle. Because it's really telling you... It's almost a puzzle, right? Like, it's telling you where to go, but you really don't want to go there. This is really similar to the way that PT uses that fridge. In PT, there's a hallway you have to pass through where there's a fridge hanging above your head, suspended really precariously by these ropes. And when you're looking at it, the image of the refrigerator, something that you know from human experience is incredibly heavy and not supposed to be above you ever, makes it so that you are really anxious about doing that. This is using a similar technique here. We've got this red light and a doorway that the game is telling us to go to using this camera angle. But in order to do so, we have to run onto the train tracks of a subway, which goes against every instinct in our brains that we've built up just from experience, right? Nothing about this feels good. It's tense. It feels dangerous. Even if nothing happens, I want to spend as little time on these train tracks as possible. Because... And of course it's locked. And then we hear... No, 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 no. Please, get up. Nope. Whew. I love that scare. It's so much better that the door is locked. Because suddenly it's like, no, I have to go back. And then the dogs show up and you hear the train whistle, and it's so much better than going through the door. It's so good. What an amazing scare. Is there a part with a newspaper article? In one of these, yeah. I don't remember which one it's in. I could try checking out the college station? Train do go new, though. Ooh. One of the things that this game uses a little more than some of the other ones is the idea of liminal spaces. In Silent Hill 1, you get a couple of these. Silent Hill 2, not a lot. Like sort of the hospital. But not a ton of the areas. Goodness gracious.
No, not another analyst with their liminal spaces. I fled YouTube to get away from that. Lucky bug, oh no.
Do you think people use the term correctly, though? Do you think there's a lot of people using that term right? People talking about liminal spaces with, like, the back rooms and stuff, and it's like, I mean, kinda, sure. But, like, you know, a subway is literally that. It's a space that you travel through, that you're using to get to other places, that you don't spend a lot of time in. Ones that you would expect a lot of people to be, and are very strange when they're not. Liminal is supposed to be an in-between space, yes. And I would say that a subway fits that definition. You know, people who are going to a subway are using it to get to a different place. Cashew Enjoyer, thank you so much for the follow, my fur and whiskers. How are you? The eeriness of human places devoid of humans, which is also a thing that's more of a thing in Silent Hill 2. Because you've got stuff like the hospital, you know, you've got the apartment buildings, places where you're expecting to see people, but they're just not there. This game has a few more spaces that are very liminal. So stuff like the mall. When you're going to the mall, it's not so you can spend time in the places that we visit in the mall. It's so you can spend time in the shops, so you can spend time in the food court. And everything else in the mall is there to facilitate your travel to other locations inside the mall, right? Same with the subway. Like you have a destination and you have to travel through the subway to get there. And the arcades, obviously, so you can play DDR. Welcome to the only area in a Silent Hill that takes place in a moving vehicle. As far as I remember, in 1, 2, 3, and 4, this is the only location that is in motion. That will not be true forever because I believe that in the arcade game you are on a moving boat. Canopsia, the eerie, forlorn atmosphere of a place that's usually bustling with people but is now abandoned and quiet. What? Oh, okay. Silent Hill do have a lot of those. Oh yeah, and the cart ride in Downpour. Although you don't do anything in it. You just sort of ride a cart, and it goes, boo, haunted house. There's a newspaper on the seat. Same boring articles. This seems so concerning. I am going to do one thing, though. One of the more interesting game overs in this game. So, Silent Hill 3... Let me think about this. Silent Hill 3 is one of the few games in this series that allow you to get a game over just via a cutscene. Did you get Voltail carrying you? No, I haven't seen that yet. There's like a couple of cutscenes where you can die in this game. And that's not the case in 1, 2, and 4, I believe? I can't think of any instant deaths. Glad you made it through 8-8. Oh, thank goodness for Reformation, yeah. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about them separating items, weapons, and supplies. I guess it's fine. It's fine. Another one of those numb bodies. Sounds like something in Kingdom Hearts. QTEs wouldn't be great for horror, they're more action. Really depends for me. I think, like, obviously there's QTE games or QTEs in the later Silent Hill games. They use them very liberally in Homecoming and Downpour. Resident Evil 4's got them. I don't know how I feel about them. I don't know if they really add much to a game in my estimation. I used to kind of like them. And nowadays I don't know. I don't know if they're doing much. The one thing I really want them to bring back is the ability to look at items in the environment and get some text about them. I like there's a newspaper on the seat, same old boring articles. Like that flavor text, give me more of that. And I want a modern game where like I can examine everything in the environment and it gives me a little bit of text. Oh, it's a bigger one. From Software lore tactics? Kinda, but like not stuff that's in your inventory necessarily. It was really annoying to me that, in the Silent Hill 2 footage they were showing off for the Silent Hill 2 remake, that there were button prompts. For stuff like a half-open garage door with a big bloody trail leading under it. And I'm like, why do you need the prompt there? A player playing a Silent Hill game is going to know to go and examine that. Because even if that's not progress, the character's still going to say something like, there's something on the other side of this door, but I don't want to find out what. You know? Like something like that. Like there should be just a little bit of flavor in it. Mullen Hospital? I think it's somewhat random to get the Voltiel cutscenes. Like, maybe we'll luck out and see it, and maybe we won't. SH2 Remake does not inspire much faith in me. Oh, me either. Stop real crime. Too cold. Bad artist. The train handle things are fixed in place. It is kind of cute. So I know I've talked about it before, but generally the way you do an environment like this in a video game is you have the train car be relatively stationary, maybe like shaking left and... Well, they probably don't have the train shaking. They probably have the camera shaking slightly. And then you move the environment outside of the train at high speeds. Because generally you don't build a physics engine that's able to handle objects on a platform moving at high speed. Because then you have to have, like, you know, reference frames. And that's a lot. Someone dropped their liquor. There's garbage on the floor here. It's not worth my time. Like a big old pipe. Well, we've arrived. This must be the first car. I can't see the next car through the frosted window. All I see is the track. Wait a minute. There's no place for the conductor? So how does it run? Or did the car before it already go on ahead? I didn't hear or feel if it did. Anyways, it's obviously pointless to stay on this train any longer. See, little things like that. Like, for me, that's what makes a Silent Hill game. For me, that's so integral to the way that these games function, is being able to walk around the environment and get text like that, you know? Am I weird for wondering how much of the newborn god is affecting everything?
Be ashamed of your words and deeds when in her final scene, Angela turns to James and says some people can't be fixed.
Oh God.
And then you have to press the right trigger to shoot her because of trauma. Another Bloober masterpiece.
That sounds like that's something they do. I think that's a really good question. Like how much of these environments are being affected by the nightmare, and how much of the nightmare is because of the unborn god inside Heather. Spoilers. And I think it's a lost art in horror games. I should be able to click on a bookshelf and find nothing interesting. Exactly. I want a game where you try a door and it says the door is locked, it's broken. Or something. The lock is broken. And then you can't open the door. Like, I like that. That old pattern's painted here among the graffiti. Looks like it was just put here too. But by whom? Why does my head... Weird question, but why is Bill a lizard? That's my housekeeper. Unknown station. Alright, not to get too far ahead of myself, but I do want to explain a little bit about what the nightmare is doing in this game, right? Because there's a couple things we know for sure. In Silent Hill 1, the nightmare is caused by Alessa's psychic powers. In Silent Hill 2, the spiritual power of the town has been corrupted and is causing the nightmare to happen to people who are in it, right? But we know for a fact that none of those are the explanation for what's going on in Silent Hill 3. One, because we're not in the town of Silent Hill, and two, because Alessa's not around anymore. So, there is a question that is quite open, which is, how is the nightmare manifesting? And whose nightmare is it? And the answer is actually kind of complicated, but super interesting. There's a couple of things going on, one of which is the unborn god inside Heather, but also the nightmares are clearly being influenced by Claudia. How is Claudia influencing the nightmare? She has a power that we only see in one other character in this series, and that's Dahlia. And that is the power of faith. Claudia is able to use her belief, her faith, in order to exert some kind of control over the cult's god. And that's fascinating because I think she's the first character and only character that we see outside of the terrible comic books, let's not talk about it, who has some sort of control over the nightmare or the creatures in it. She's able to exert some kind of influence on them, which is kind of fascinating. It's super unique as a character. She's a Warhammer orc. Kinda. A little bit. Yeah. But the cult's god in an embryonic form was inside Alessa. The more that Heather remembers being Alessa, the more that god is able to form. And so the nightmare is coming from what Silent Hill 4 calls the power of God. The ability to make your dreams manifest into reality. The power that Alessa had in Silent Hill 1. The god is exerting that power through Heather and with Claudia's influence. So the nightmare is actually almost threefold. It's a little bit of Alessa's nightmare. It's a little bit of Heather's own anxieties and fears. And it's a little bit of Claudia's faith, perceptions, and, as we see later, hatreds. And it's really kind of fascinating. I think it's pretty cool. It's also messy and a little bit complicated. Doesn't anyone with these powers ever want to dream anything nice? So, good question. Because I think the answer was yes. Until it was ruined. Because the closest thing, what the cult wants, according to this game, is to bring about paradise. A world where people can live without fear or pain or loss, or like where they live in eternal paradise. And God said she was going to bring about an eternal paradise when she returns. So what the cult wants is for God to return. The closest thing they get to that is Alessa, who's a little girl born of man who has the power of God, the ability to make her thoughts manifest. And the way that she appears at the end of Silent Hill 1 as the incubator, when she's glowing white and dressed in robes, is very similar to the way that God is depicted in this game. She is the closest thing to the return of the cult's god. But Dahlia ruins it by trying to bring about her idea of God. She doesn't believe that Alessa's that. She believes that Alessa can be used to bring about what she thinks God is. But if Alessa grew up with a decent childhood as, like, who was cared for and loved, she may have brought about an eternal paradise on Earth. That's certainly a possibility. If she could bring about the nightmare when she's trying to stop the cult's god from being born, sacrificing herself, putting herself into that kind of misery for years and years and years just to try and stop them, like, she probably could have brought about a much better future if Dahlia didn't fuck everything up. You know? I love that we get off the train and immediately start going down more. More descent. Can't open the door. I think this is another one of those areas where this game is kind of expanding on something that appeared in Silent Hill 1. Silent Hill 1 had a couple sections where you're running through the sewers, and they didn't add a ton to the game. There wasn't a lot going on with them, right? I'm gonna get away from that thing. Never mind. Gotta go towards that thing. Are those my least favorite monsters in all of Silent Hill? They might be. And I don't mean least favorite in that they're bad or poorly designed. How strange do you think it would be if we ever played a character who just happened to be in the area instead of a target of the suffering? Just enough to be in the area of the suffering and notice it, but not be part of it all. Like in Silent Hill 1. It's interesting to think about.
Sup, fella bun.
Sup, Usagi, how are you? That's sort of something that goes on in Silent Hill 1. Like, Harry is not necessarily a part of that story until he's dragged into it. Same with Henry in Silent Hill 4. But I think I know what you mean, because you're thinking of like, what is going on in this game from Douglas's perspective, right? And I think that's a pretty interesting question to ask. It's pretty clear that he's able to see the nightmare, because in my interpretation, the nightmare is literally happening in the physical world, so of course he is. But like, you know, I think in Silent Hill, when we played Silent Hill 2, we were talking about what Eddie and Angela were going through. Kid in Silent Hill 2, she almost seems unaware in a way, but almost somewhat noticing the effect as well. Yeah, Laura, the little girl in 2, definitely seems somewhat unaware of the nightmare, but mostly just because it doesn't manifest much around her. I think what we get into there, though, is because the physics of this world, this nightmare, are very dreamlike. They're supposed to be dreamlike and nightmarish, and, you know, they don't always make sense in terms of like space, or I guess the term I would use is texture. But because of that, the experiences that other people are having are also pretty dreamlike. So for instance, when Heather goes to the mall, she escapes out the bathroom window into an alleyway, and then goes back inside into some like sort of back rooms. And in that section, we can still hear people outside, but there's monsters starting to show up. What happens to all the people who are in the mall once Heather gets into the more nightmarish areas of that section of the game, right? Because afterwards, it's just her and Douglas. But we don't really see what happened to anybody else who was in that mall. And there are definitely other people in that mall, right? There's a couple of explanations. Some of which I think are more plausible, and some of which I think are people stretching quite a bit. One of which is, I don't think it's an alternate universe. I don't really think that that's a thing in these games. The only alternate universe there is, the only alternate reality there is dreams. That's when they say alternate reality, what they mean is the realm of dreams and nightmares. People aren't wandering around and seeing real people as monsters. That doesn't make any sense. But and I don't think that it's just happening in their heads. I don't think people are seeing different versions of the same thing. I don't think that that's true. Up on that one line, do you mean they look like monsters to you? Because I think people forget the second part of the line, they look like monsters to you, which is, it's just a joke. Vincent is fucking with you. I will take that mace, though. We went through the mall, and then we got a mall. Nice. I think it only affects those directly connected to Heather. Detective directly spoken with and was looking for her, so it would have reason to kind of pull him in. So here's the thing. I think that when Heather goes into those back rooms, those doors and those hallways don't necessarily lead to the same mall. Like, for instance, there's part of it where she goes down an elevator, exits the elevator into a second elevator, which is much more nightmarish and covered in flesh and metal and rust. And that goes down even further. And it's possible that the area that it's going down into doesn't exist in the real world, right? That it's a creation of the nightmare, that the nightmare is manifesting more layers of the mall that are underneath the real ones, or in the same place as the real ones. And it's not necessarily an alternate dimension, but it's just that the layout of this building becomes dreamlike. It becomes nightmarish. It's the same in Silent Hill 2 when you walk down a long staircase in the Historical Society, which is just on the lake, and you wind up in a mine that leads into a prison from like the 1800s, and that is some nonsense geometry that makes sense in a dream. And I think that all of that is real. I think that all of that is happening. That any character that's walking with James in that scene could go down that same staircase and see exactly the same stuff. Like, I don't think it's imagination, and I don't think it's an alternate dimension. But this world becomes convoluted and dreamlike. Right, that isn't a mole. A mole is a hammer thing. I think a mole is like a hammer thing, but it's got like a hook on the back. It's got like a back part that's like a spike. I wonder if there's supposed to be a Lovecraftian dream of a god aspect to it. There are definitely Lovecraftian aspects to this story, for sure. Carrying more of these bottles would slow me down. Neither Dad or I drink wine anyway. I had a dream where it was an infinite swamp where beds and pizza parlors were. Yeah, like that kind of thing. Aces Ometas. Thank you so much for the follow, my fur and whiskers. How are you? The whole thing is fully rendered in one big map? Yeah, it's not like the Mario staircase. Final bosses are essentially elder gods from the nightmares of the person, usually at the center of whatever dark force is starting to cause the nightmare to manifest and overlay over reality. Let me think about that. So, ostensibly, I was actually thinking about this because a question that I want to bring up is, have we ever seen what the cult's god looks like? Because I think the answer is no, not in person. Because there are 3 things in this game that are referred to as God. The Incubator and Incubus bosses from Silent Hill 1, and the final boss of this game. And none of them bear any resemblance to each other whatsoever. Witness aspects of them, but not the true entity? Yeah. See, the thing that I think, like, I know I've expressed this belief before, but I don't think the cult's god is real. I don't think it exists. I think there are plenty of explanations for why the monsters and the nightmare and these bosses show up. That is not, there's actually a god. Because personally, I don't think there is. I think the cult is wrong. I think they're incorrect. I think their mythology is a lie. That's an interesting noise.
No, Bun. Don't say that. The doubter always gets murked by the mythology they disbelieve in games like these. Lucky Bun, oh no.
That would be kind of funny, though. Whoever built this put a lot of electrical equipment close proximity to damp and gas. I've got great news for you. We are going to do some nonsense later.
Is the cult's god perhaps just an explanation by people who didn't understand something for a power they encountered and applied ideas and terms they had on hand for it? And it later twisted into the nightmare?
Right. So the cult's religion and their idea of God comes from, like, a really long and complicated history. It's a combination of Silent Hill 2 explains that. No, Silent Hill 1 explains it as a combination of sort of some of the indigenous beliefs and influence from the Christian colonists that sort of created this cult over time by borrowing from a lot of different sources. Silent Hill is a place of power and it caused an AWE. Kinda. Yeah. So you could tell they never consulted an indigenous person about any tribal beliefs? Yeah. I don't know if that's exactly what they're going for, is like... tribal beliefs, but a lot of where they're pulling their inspiration from is from Gnosticism and demonology and some of like real life Christian cults kind of stuff. So they're the cult that they came up with for these games is borrowing a lot from the Ars Goetia, from the Lesser Key of Solomon. There's a lot of references to demons and sigils and symbols and names from all of that sort of stuff. Alchemy too, absolutely. Yeah. It seems like that's where they're drawing their inspirations from. And they are sort of explaining that by saying that their religion was a mix of pagan and Christian beliefs, which... like, obviously there weren't any American indigenous cultures that were believing in stuff that's anywhere similar to this. So that's kind of nonsense. But anyway, thankfully they don't lean too hard on that kind of idea. I think the reason that that's in here is because people like Lovecraft and David Lynch and Stephen King kind of lean on those same sort of tropes, Christianity is indeed a mixture of Christian and pagan beliefs. Oh yeah. Big time. This bottle was dropped at a corner of the underground passage. Use it. Fill this up with some kerosene. Merp. Hi Liz, how are you? Where was I going with this? What were we talking about? Labselvit and Shukilbara. I have some stuff to say about those. I got some shit to say about that. But anyway, that's the games explain that that's where the cult's beliefs kind of come from. On top of that, this is a universe, the Silent Hill games, where psychic powers are real. And also, there are practitioners of magic. Because people like Dahlia and Claudia are able to use their faith in order to do literally magic. Alright, this room. Don't love this room. I don't think there's anything worthwhile in here. I don't really see any other characters with those powers, except maybe Walter. This whole transcending death murder ritual thing. So, I'm going to talk about this more in Silent Hill 4, but what Walter obtains through the 21 sacraments, but before the first 10 of that are the 10 hearts. I don't remember what it's called exactly. Through those first 10 sacrifices, Walter is able to obtain what is called, in the game, the power of God, which sounds an awful lot like Alessa's powers from Silent Hill 1. It's the ability to make your dreams manifest into reality. It's pretty explicit. Guess what? What's that, Sal? The assumption? That makes sense. I think that's right. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Pretty much. You're cute. How dare you?
The 10 Hearts of Darkness, the opposite of the hearts contained by the 10 Princess Railroads of Light, that lead you to the coal mine below the castle where the Patriots have their bunker.
My goodness. Can't help but wonder how much of the powers everyone gets to affect the dream of born into them, or something you just awaken to. So that's a good question. Because it seems like there is a cult ritual to obtain these powers, but the only person we know of that does it is Walter. And it seems like the cult was like preparing him from a very young age to be able to do that. Kind of a big deal. So it seems like not just anyone can do the 21 sacraments. It kind of seems like you have to have some sort of je ne sais quoi in order to even make the effort, you know? But Alessa is even more special than that because she's just born with these powers. And it seems like she gets more control of them over time, although it's not really clear. We don't get a lot of information about what Alessa's like day-to-day life was. You know, we don't find out when she discovered her powers or whatever. We kind of just know that Dahlia figured she could use those powers at a certain age. Thanks to that thing, all the water's finally drained out of the hole. Looks like I'll be able to go down there now. If I can stand the smell, that is. Dreams are inherently kind of messed up, so probably not the best that someone gets to enforce them upon reality. Yeah, so we actually see, in terms of control over that sort of stuff, Alessa may have been able to, at one point, control what she does and doesn't manifest. But once the events of Silent Hill 1 are kicking off, it's clear that she doesn't entirely. Because the nightmares that she's been suffering for the last 7 years of being like, you know, horribly burned and then tortured in order to try and attract the other half of her soul, has put her in a place where she can't stop the nightmares from escaping her head. Alessa in Silent Hill 1, if she had total control over her powers, would have manifested the sigils of the seal of Metatron in order to contain the god and prevent its birth. And there would have been no monsters or nightmare or any of that stuff. That stuff all escaped while she was trying to do something completely different. But that's just kind of how dreams and the subconscious works, right? We don't have control over the things that our subconscious brings into the conscious. We don't really control all of the thoughts in our head. And there's no way to do that. And that's part of the horror of these games, is that, there are parts of your subconscious that feel violating because they're not thoughts that you want. They're not thoughts that you're trying to have, but they will pop into your head. And the horror of Silent Hill is that those are escaping into the real world, And that's terrifying. That's way scarier than what happens in the later games, which is the main character is guilty because someone died. Ooh. I really like this camera angle. This little river right here is like one of my favorite things in this game. I really like it. Yeah, just a little moment of peace. I've said it before and I will say it again. This game, this series, the first 4 games in this series, really know how to use noise, music, and silence in order to create its atmosphere. It's really, really important that we have all of these elements, that there are scenes of silence that are punctuated with noise, that are punctuated with music. Not afraid of my own thoughts, but that not fear is very rooted in the fact that I'm sure I can separate thoughts from actions and choose when to act. The idea of my thoughts becoming real without my consent is terrifying. Exactly. Yeah. Like we have the ability to decide which thoughts to act on and which to not. We have the ability to decide what things we want to believe and what we don't. And there are thoughts that will come into your head that you don't want to act on, that you don't believe. And you have the ability to argue against those, to choose between them, and to filter your thoughts. At least most people do. Into the things that, we find acceptable and that we don't. I know plenty of people who are not capable of separating that, and they scare me. So there's a couple of types of people that can't do that. And for some people, it's not their fault.
Who would even think of doing something so disgusting?
Grah! Hello. Aww. That's my favorite Snapjaw. Referencing the best toilet in this game. Oh. Some people don't have the ability to filter those thoughts because of chemicals in your brain. Some people require medication in order to do that, which is fine. I think that's acceptable. I don't want to throw any shade on someone for, having a mental disability that makes it impossible to do that. That's not your fault. But I do get what you mean. There are people out there that don't do that, and it's on purpose, and that's bad. I hate chemicals in my brain. I know, right? Terrible. Yeah, I get you. God, I love this. Look at that thing down there. So good. Dissociate pretty hard and lose my ability to make my own decisions. I take meds for it, though. Yeah, like that sort of thing. Right? Like, that ain't your fault. Dryer. Now that's a lot of garbage. Oh, wow, it's my stream! Yo! My game came out while you were on vacay? I did not. I would like a link. Where the hell did it all come from? I guess this is all the stuff that gets tossed out into the sewers. Lily!
Now that's a lot of garbage.
Thank you for 29 months. Welcome back to the Court of Hearts, Your Majesty. It's a broken clock. A wheelchair? Why would a wheelchair be thrown out here? This isn't a hospital. There's a big difference between people who don't want to lose control either and the type of people who
Lucky
mold their
bun
lives.
engine, no self-deppy. It's us watchers who make the stream garbage. You can fix that by getting the best viewers at Mercifully Shot by a mod.
Heck.
If this stream is garbage, then I am a raccoon that lives in this dumpster.
Why, thank you. It's a game about gay foxes. Oh, I did see that. I'm following them on Blue Sky. Okay. Oh, that's cool. There's a deodorant inside, but it would probably be a waste of energy. Just wasting my time looking around here. I'd better get going. Even so, it really stinks. It's going straight from my nose to my head. Also,
Now where did my cotton candy go? I put it in a puddle and it's vanished.
so this clock is actually a reference to Peter Pan, where there's a clock inside the crocodile, and there's that old wives' tale about crocodiles in the sewers. So there's the clock in the no, I'm kidding. It's not. It's just a clock. Bunch of nonsense. Kind of shit you'd see on the wiki. Oh, the thing's gone now. It's gone now. It's for the crocodiles so they can tell the time because they can't see the sun or moon. I really recommend. There's an annotated version of Alice in
Now I will
Wonderland.
make this boy disappear.
Yeah, the camera angle changed. It's really good. There's an annotated version of Alice in Wonderland where I believe it's during the Mad Tea Party, when the Hatter's watch is stopped at 4 o'clock, where they're talking about time. And there's a long annotation about how, because Wonderland is underground, they would most likely be using a lunar calendar because you would still have a change in the tides, even if you weren't able to see the sun. Because there's water down there. It's a very weird little annotation because it's a thing that doesn't make sense or matter. But I kind of love it as a thought experiment. It's very fun. Yeah, it's like a tidal calendar. There's some big boys. Sewer.
Love me some circumcision theropods.
They're not Oh, fine. Is this a security monitor? I can't see anything. It must be broken. Danger. Keep out. This was probably pasted on that door there. I can see where it fell off. Caution. So... there are documents on the floor. They don't look like they have anything to do with me. But they've got today's date on them. That's weird. There's a monster in the water. The bastards killed 2 of my buddies. I should never have doubted that old urban legend about alligators in the sewers. That was no myth. But no one believes me. They were drunk and slipped? We're not that damn stupid. Even calling it a monster's not quite right. This is something else. All I know is, something's in there. I'm going in now to beat that thing's head in. If you find this note, consider it my will. Revenge is futile. Or so you may think reading this. But Jose and Jamie were my best buddies. Wish I knew how to do the deed. Guns won't work underwater. Even my famous knife work won't do much. If only I had a hand grenade. This guy studied the blade. Dang. Famous knife work. So, if you walk into this room and you see this caution sign here and this danger keep out sign here, which I would hope you would, you might explore enough to find this note. I don't think it's that unfair for the game to simply kill you if you try walking off onto this platform. I don't think it's that bad that this is a game over right here. Yoink. Ooh, beginner mode.
Yoink.
Every Silent Hill has an instant death or 3. I think this is the only one. I was thinking about this earlier, and I think Silent Hill 3, out of the first 4 at least, might be the only one. I can't remember any instant deaths in 1 or 2, or 4. There's a couple of things in 4 that are a really bad idea. Oh, there is the cabinet in the first game. Oh, that's right. Where if you take the sword out and then walk away, yeah. Yeah, that's true. How do you unlock beginner mode? Die enough. Die a couple times. There's an outlet here. So now we can plug in the dryer. And that thing's dead now. I do love her body language throwing that thing in. Alright, now you're dead, I guess. Making bacon. Fun experiment to try at home with the kids. Also, isn't this the room where you can get the gold and silver pipe in New Game Plus? I think the pipe fairy lives here. What kind of valve could this be? I doubt it's anything important. I'll just leave it alone for now.
You just killed a majestic endangered sewer kraken in its natural habitat.
Yes.
This is the best room to get pipe in.
Okay, well, listen. So, let's think about this for just a second here, okay? So far, we've done 2 puzzles that involve destroying nuts. We've done 1 puzzle that involves unraveling a clothes hanger. And we've done 2 puzzles that are incredibly ill-advised. One of which is combining bleach and detergent into chlorine gas. And one of which is throwing a hairdryer into a bathtub. What is the game trying to tell us with these puzzle solutions? You know? Bathroom supplies are dangerous. They are fucking dangerous. Also, I went to go fact check last time because people were like, oh, that's mustard gas. And then people were like, no, mustard gas you need sulfur for. And then there were people who were like, oh, it doesn't make chlorine gas. And I'm like, I think it is. I think it's chlorine gas. Where you combine detergent and bleach. So I went to look it up. I went to Google it. And like, let me give this a shot and see if it still does this. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I got a problem here that I want to tell you all about. Okay? So if you combine detergent and bleach, you can make chlorine gas. If you breathe that, the chlorine gets into your lungs, combines with water, and turns into hydrochloric acid. And then you get 3rd-degree burns inside your lungs. It's not good. It's bad. It's what they used in like gas chambers. It's awful. Okay, don't do it. So I went and Googled this. And I gotta say, Google's AI tells us that laundry detergent ingredients are compatible with bleach. You can safely use bleach and detergent together in the washing machine. There is no noticeable reaction or physical damage. You will get a more powerful cleaning solution. So somebody should get sued about this, right? Can somebody get sued for this? That's what I would like. Because this is going to get somebody murdered. This is going to kill somebody. What the fuck, Google? Like, what the fuck?
Breathe in that fresh, highly chlorinated air.
Jesus. Jesus.
This is what you get when you make your AI troll 10-year-old Reddit troll posts for facts.
Yeah, yeah. I think the AI is trying to kill off the human race.
Google's eye is 100% trying to kill anyone who takes its advice. This is another thing it's tried to tell people that is dangerous.
Yeah, this isn't the first time. Too lazy to do it Skynet style. I know, right? Jesus. And it's not a harmless thing like Google's AI telling you to delete System 32 or something. Like that, I would get. I would find that slightly funny. But like... somebody's gonna get hurt. Their search engine used to work. At one point. Sure did. I always hated Google. I used Alta Vista. Till they bought them out. Ugh. Fucking monopoly. Yeah, they bought Alta Vista years ago. I remember, because then they started running ads and shit.
True, though. Laundry detergents don't have ammonia in them specifically because they expect people to use bleach alongside them.
Yes, modern detergents are usually much safer to use with bleach. However, I would still advise caution when doing so. I would still advise you not do that. In an abundance of caution, I would still say that's a bad idea to do. It is much safer nowadays and probably not lethal, however. I would say don't combine bleach with any other cleaners, if possible. Can't get in. There's an iron gate blocking the way. Bleach by itself is an insanely deadly chemical? It can be, yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's because it's incredibly base. Don't trust Bun's opinion on Bleach. He doesn't like anime. Okay. But, like, who the fuck likes Bleach, though? If you do, you're wrong. Liked Bleach better when it was called Inuyasha. I made 500 episodes, someone's gotta like it. That's not necessarily true. The joke was I liked Bleach better when it was called Yu Yu Hakusho. Yeah, fair. Okay. Alright. Inuyasha was tight as hell? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Inuyasha was a good first season. And that's it. That's it. It's a fine first season. And then it should have stopped. That's, honestly, a lot of anime. A pretty good first season. Stop. You mean like Lost? No, not like Lost. Lost Season 2 is one of the best. Oh, and the end of Season 3 is immaculate. I won't take this. Lost is fantastic. You see chronologically Lost? I have not yet, but I heard about it. Cowboy beep beep.
It is true. Many anime suffer from what I like to call the big O problem.
Ooh. Yeah. Here's my thing for anime. I find it's usually best if it's only one season long, and if the first episode's really good. I don't like when a show starts out, and they're like, and somebody's like, no, you just gotta get past the first couple episodes, and then it gets really good. And I'm like, no. Gotta be good from episode 1. And, can't be too long. Gotta have an ending. The third level ceiling is crumbled. For safety's sake, entry is forbidden. It's a weird way to put that. Have you seen Space Dandy? It's fucking stupid. I have not. But, like, I also liked Excel Saga, and that's also fucking stupid. So, like, that's not necessarily, you know, a negative. Pedro. Poor Pedro and his sexy wife.
Stupid, affectionate.
It's a toilet. I thought this building was still under construction, but it looks like this one has been used. Excel Saga, the series that caused the lead actor to lose her voice. Oh, that's rough. That dub is kind of incredible. I heard that weird thumping out here. This wall looks a little different here. The material is different too. Might break if it's hit hard enough. Time to bring out the maul. Bam. Got a silencer. Oh, and there's some leggies in there. I can see legs through the broken part of the wall. Those are just mannequin legs, but I guess I'm not that lucky. Just like the black cat. I wish I hadn't seen that. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about this real quick. Y'all know that I already complained about the Silent Hill 3 official strategy guide when we talked about the plot synopsis for Silent Hill 1. But I gotta bring it up again here real quick. Where is that? The apartment building. Here we go. Hilltop Center. Just inside the entrance of the big room is a noticeable section of the wall recently and very poorly plastered. Use one of the melee weapons, such as the steel pipe or the maul, to smash through the plaster. A body is visible in the wall and the silencer falls out. It seems that Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid has been busy hiding bodies in other Konami games. Now, I could see where they got that idea, because Snake does put a silencer on his gun and it is a different color wall, right? Or whatever. Like, okay, I get that. However, look at the text here. They're telling you what this is a reference to. It's a reference to the movie The Black Cat. Which, if I'm not mistaken, has both Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff in it. And is fucking amazing. It's great. Super good. Highly recommend. Good movie. Good short story. But they just told you what it is. Wasn't that the one with the bus jump scare? No, that's Cat People. That one's great too.
Why watch movies when you can just watch Kojima cutscenes?
I suppose. One, no one has ever seen that movie. It's 2003. I guess. I mean, when did that movie come out? 41? 42? Hang on a sec. Hang on. I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna figure it out. Hang on. Oh, 1934. And there's a Basil Rathbone version from 41. Ooh. Starring Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi. Thank you. 1934. Oh. Here we go, hang on. Karloff, Lugosi, together at last. In Edgar Allan Poe's The Black Cat. It's a good movie. Recommend. Yeah. It's got a kitty in it, kind of. Cat shows up like twice. Anyway, they put what the reference is in the game. I have a black cat. His name is Binks. I used to have a cat named Binks too, named after Thackeray. Thackeray Binks. From Hocus Pocus. No Solid Snake? Okay, sure. All right. Fine. Good enough. Ugh, a filthy mattress. Let's drop it in the hole. This must be that roof that collapsed.
Do you think love can bloom, even inside some drywall?
You know what can bloom there? Black mold. M. Volpine, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Goodness. Especially if you're J.K. Rowling's castle, apparently.
Oh, is this J.K. Rowling's house?
Thank you. I'm glad we both thought it. She changed her profile pic over it? Oh, God. Of course she did. Jesus Christ. Or if that might explain some things. You know...
I feel bad for that black mold, sharing space with that vile toxic substance.
True. Same.
What is love? Baby, don't mold me. Don't mold me. No more.
Oh! Run away from that fucking thing. Oh, no! Phew. Quit blaming black mold for JK. Fuckface's bigotry. Mold has never discriminated on someone for being trans. As far as I know, that is true. Although, like, if you look at the rates of...
Wait, mold, so how does this link to the bioweapons of the later Resident Evil games?
There are people who have done some studies linking conservative beliefs to lead used in plumbing. So, I don't know. I don't know if this is explanatory. I don't think there's any way to prove that. However, it is a confounding variable. And leaded gasoline. Interesting. I don't know. Storage room. Oh, I love this storage room. Oh, this one's so good. So it's not their fault? I mean, yes. I mean, obviously, everyone has to be responsible for their own behaviors. Still. But...
Fun fact, lead poisoning is actually suspected to be one of the potential reasons for the high level of mental issues in Roman elites due to lead being used as a sweetener for wine during the Roman period.
That makes sense. I think they also used it in their plumbing. So, this room, interestingly enough...
Wolbachia. Vocal cord parasite. Male to female. Hamburger.
Jesus. I think that this room is the inspiration for that weird scene of dollification fetish happening in Silent Hill 3 Revelations 3D. Where there's that big mannequin spider. Something weird about the headless ones. You know the ones?
Copulate.
Like they can still see me or something. Ick.
I hope the lead of mine will be used in your wine.
I think it's a combination of this and the Scarlet fight from Silent Hill Homecoming, which is also a big mannequin doll boss fight. I think they combined that with this room when they came up with that scene. And like, you know, I don't want to call anybody out. Benui. I don't want to call anybody out. I don't want to make any assumptions. But like, I found out that a couple years after Silent Hill Revelation 3D, the director of that movie came out as trans. And I thought that dollification scene suddenly made a whole lot more sense.
That Manixie do.
Suddenly I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, good for her. Ooh. Ooh. This is blood. Oh, now I get it, yeah. Also, I really like that scene because I think that scream is Heather. I think it's Heather's voice actress. This box is filled with mannequin heads. I think I'll pass on this one. Is blood. Goggo. Oh no. Ow. Monica's dance studio.
How can you find trans subtext in her follow-up film Inside Man, Most Wanted, the sequel to Spike Lee's Inside Man?
I have not seen it. I don't know anything about it. Here we go, the office building. Drawer's open. The drawer's open just a smidge. Must be rusted or something. I can't pull it out any further. Alrighty. I think that's all we're gonna do for tonight. I think I covered most of what I wanted to talk about. For today, at least. What do you think about the Borley Haunted Mansion? I love the fake Vincent Price voice that they have for it. It's one of my favorite parts of this game. It's so good. I can't wait to get there. That's Danny. Will there be a new game plus silly run? Probably not, but I could maybe be convinced to run through a little bit of this game on with the Heather beam. I could be tempted. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today. I really needed this. I missed y'all. I missed streaming for y'all.